Looking for a ton of AP Calculus tips and tricks? Then you've come to the right video. In this video, we're gonna go over 13 AP Calculus multiple choice and free response tips and tricks to help you score a 4 or 5. By the end of this video, you're gonna have a better understanding of what it takes to excel on your AP Calculus exam. Before we get started, this video is brought to you by Albert. We provide thousands of practice questions along with detailed explanations to help you master difficult subjects like AP Calculus. So if you want to level up your studying, click the link in the video description to create a free account and start studying today. Without further ado though, let's get into these tips. Tip number 1 is to make a calendar. AP Calculus is not going to study itself, and so it's really important that you start to dedicate some time in your calendar ahead of the exam so that you can get adequate practice and repetitions into the sorts of questions that you're going to see come test day. You can start with just as little as 30 minutes every single day and then gradually build up your endurance to an hour or an hour and a half or so leading up to the final weeks to the exam. The important thing here though is that you're not stacking everything to just the last few days before the exam, because that sort of stress and environment for yourself is not going to yield you with the results that you want to score a 4 or 5. Tip number 2 is to mimic your testing environment. We recommend that you get out a desk and you completely clear it and make it seem like you are taking the test every single time that you are beginning your practice section. The principle of encoding specificity states that when we are learning, our brain is actually encoding the environment that we are learning these different principles in. This means that we are more likely to recall certain pieces of information when we are in very similar environments. So by creating an environment at home that closely mimics your actual testing environment, you'll feel more comfortable and less stressed come test day. So try to limit the number of study sessions that are too different from one another and try to stick to having a dedicated place for all of your AP Calc studying. Tip number 3 is to build up your hand muscles. AP Calculus requires a lot of handwriting, especially when it comes to the free response section, and so you don't want your hand to get cramped and to cost you valuable minutes come test day. To build up your stamina, you might find it helpful to either work through past AP Calculus previously released exams, or to just work through some journaling every day so that you can build up your stamina to writing for extended periods of time. Tip number 4 is to practice using your calculator. Your calculator can be your friend in both the multiple choice section as well as the free response section, because there is a component on both sides of the exam that allows you to use it. So it's really important that you learn all the different functions that your calculator has so you can save as much test time as possible. Tip number 5 is to learn the language of the exam. The College Board likes to use certain verbs that they call task verbs, and it's really important that you understand what each of these task verbs are asking of you. For example, you might be asked to approximate something, and in that situation, you're not going to have to necessarily give a very precise answer. Instead, you'll have to round to different decimal values or to make certain estimates. You may also be asked to do something like calculating or writing an expression. This is where you're going to evaluate an expression and actually solve an equation. It's really getting at the root of what is the value of this, or how would you compute this. Tip 6 is to break down the free response questions. There's a ton of different parts to each AP Calc free response, and so it can be helpful for you to underline the key parts that you are answering as you're answering them. This will reduce the amount of time that you are spending simply reading the question or rereading the question because you got confused by all the different distractors. This will also make it easier for you to separate the pertinent information from the distractors. Tip number 7 is to pay attention to the details. AP Calculus test takers often miss things like units in their answer responses. They also miss things like the constant C on integral questions. Another common mistake is rounding numbers, and so it's really important that you read the directions for what it's asking you and give what they're actually asking you. While free response questions can be rounded to 3 decimal places, rounding a little bit earlier than that can lead to significantly different outcomes in your free response question. So it's really important that when you are ready to round, that you are also at the point in which you're at the final part of the question. Tip number 8 is to double check your answers. You can use the fundamental theorem of calculus to work backwards on your solution concept. If everything checks out, then you should be able to get back to your original start point. And so it helps you practice and solidify your understanding of the fundamental theorem of calculus as well. Tip number 9 is to make your own practice questions. A great way to have some fun and also challenge yourself in a different way is to take an existing question and change some of the numbers or the variables or the units, and then see if you can still solve that particular new question. Or what you can also do is, in a study group, you can trade with a friend and have him or her solve your problem while you solve their problem, and then discuss the results as to what both of you came up with. The reality is that calculus is a super fluid subject, and so the possibilities are endless when it comes to different questions that you can come up with. Tip number 10 relates to the last one a little bit, which is to reuse practice questions. If you don't quite remember how you solved a particular question or didn't solve a particular question in the past, then it can be helpful to try it again. This is especially helpful when you're looking and targeting areas that you have struggled with in your past practice sessions. Tip number 11 is to keep your skills fresh. Even if you did really well on a particular concept when it came to your unit testing class, it's really important that you are refreshing your memory on your mastery of that skill throughout the course of the school year. By doing so, you're gonna make sure that that one time that you took that test really well was not a fluke, and that you actually have truly mastered that particular concept. As important as it is to work on your weaknesses, it's also important that you fortify your strengths in areas that you already excel in. Tip number 12 is to vary your resources. Multisensory learning has been proven to improve academic performance, and what that entails is to use all sorts of resources in your preparation efforts. This means reviewing things not just like practice questions, but also looking over things like your class notes, your textbook, additional videos and resources on YouTube, whatever will allow you to get additional ways of exposure of learning a particular concept or principle. You can also seek different sources for help beyond your teacher by asking a classmate to explain something to you, or to work through a particular question with the study group. And our final AP Calculus tip is to know when to ask for help. Aside from asking your teacher for help, there are a ton of other places that you can find assistance when it comes to AP Calculus. For example, you can use online communities like Quora to post your question and have different people answer or help you solve a particular question. You might also find help in different student communities like on Reddit. If you prefer something a little bit more personal, you can always explore something like one-on-one tutoring either online or in person. And lastly, like we've mentioned several times in this video, it's always helpful to form a study group that you can meet with consistently to help you prepare for the AP Calculus exam. There you have it, 13 AP Calculus tips and tricks to help you score a 4 or 5 on this year's exam. If you found this video helpful, be sure to hit that like button below to help share this video with more AP Calculus test takers, and also subscribe and hit that notification bell if you haven't already, so that you can get notified when we release more study videos like these. Lastly, if you haven't already checked out our site, Albert provides thousands of practice questions as well as detailed explanations and full-length practice exams to help you master these difficult concepts and score that 4 or 5 on your AP exams. Aside from covering the APs, we also cover pretty much every subject that a student takes from grades 6 through 12. If that interests you, click the link in the video description to create a free account and start practicing on Albert today.